Have you ever purchased something that was clearly a luxury and you didn't really need, maybe? Well, I did just that a couple months ago, and I am so glad that I did. Stick around. Hi, this is Bill Booz, and this is Photography and Technology Tools. About a year ago, actually a year ago almost to the date, I bought this GM5, Panasonic GM-5 camera with its stock lens of 12 to 32. I've got an Olympus 45 millimeter on it now. And I got it because I had found that I was using my iPhone a lot, and my alternative camera really was my EM1. My Olympus OM-D E-M1. I love both cameras. I mean, the camera on the iPhone 7 Plus and the EM1. And I had a lot of lenses that went with it. I've had several cameras over the last couple of years, several different Olympus cameras, and have purchased a lot of different lenses. So I was looking for something smaller than the EM1, but yet bigger and perhaps a little bit better than the iPhone. And I settled on this Panasonic GM-5. I'd had an EPL-6, I believe, at the time, but I got rid of that, and it was just a little bit bigger than I really wanted, I thought. What I found over the next 6 to 8 months was that I was using this little Panasonic GM-5 all the time and barely touching my EM1, unless I was doing video or something like that. So I thought, well, I'd like to get something that's kind of between the same as before, really, between the iPhone and the EM1. Now it was between the GM5 and the EM1. That wasn't as big as the EM1, but had many of the same features. So I started thinking about the Olympus OM-D E-M5 Mark II. It had already been out for a year or so. And then this is not a review of the camera. It's a review, really, or a commentary on my reasons for liking the camera. So I posted on Facebook that I was interested in, or considering doing this, bringing an EM5 to my toolkit. What I was thinking of doing was buying a new EM5 Mark II when Olympus had a deal on them. So, this is still like a over $1,000 camera. And sometimes it was possible to find for $899, even in the 700s. So I had decided that I had the money at the time. I was going to sell something, actually, to give me the money at the time, because I had most of the money. And lo and behold, a person on Facebook messaged me and said that he was buying the new EM1 Mark II and wanted to sell his EM5 Mark II. But he wasn't ready to do that until he had an actual shipping date for his new camera. And so that lasted until December. The reason, too, that I went for the EM5 instead of the EM10, I had originally an EM10. It was when it was brand new. I upgraded from an EPL-5, I think, at the time. And one of the reasons I liked the EM10 was that it had two dials on the top. And the front dial, when you were shooting in manual mode, controlled the aperture. The back dial controlled the shutter speed. And then a lot of other functionality that it had, as well as the customization possibilities with the OM-D cameras. And so, but I wasn't willing to give up what I had with the EM1. It was totally weather sealed, so I could take it out in the rain if I wanted to. And this EM5 has the same feature. It's water sealed. The lens I have on it right now is the 12 to 40 Pro lens from Olympus, and it's also water sealed. So this whole package can go with me out in the rain. Not that I shoot in the rain a lot, but should I find myself in that situation, I wanted a camera that had that. I also wanted another feature that the EM1 had and the EM10 did not, is a place to put a mic in. So I can attach an external mic to this and not rely on the onboard microphone when I'm recording. And so that was really an appealing aspect too. Plus, both cameras, the EM1 and the EM5 Mark II, have 5-axis image stabilization. And in fact, the new or not new, it's not new anymore, but the EM5 Mark II had improved on that stabilization to some effect. So that was an attractive feature that I was interested in. So in December, early December, mid-December, I made the purchase, and I got my used EM5 Mark II in great condition. This gentleman obviously took care of his cameras, and he threw in with the package, and that was another thing that made it quite attractive, at a price that was really well below what I was going to pay for a deal through Olympus sales times. But he threw into the package this set of grips. The grip has two parts. The first part, which is what I do use, adds a little bit of heft to the camera, and it also adds a headphone jack. So if I'm recording somebody else, not myself, I can plug in headphones here and monitor the sound that I'm recording. So this grip goes on the bottom. One of the things that is a con to this camera is that by putting the grip on, you cover up the battery compartment. So this is where the battery goes in. Another nice thing, though, is that the batteries on the EM5 Mark II are exactly the same as on the EM1. So I only need to have one battery charger and all the same batteries. And the package I bought from this gentleman included the original battery and at least one or two extra batteries. So I have a nice collection of batteries for both my EM1 and my EM5. So by adding that one grip, it doesn't make the camera too much taller, and it gives it a nice feel in the front with this grip that's very much like my EM1. And that's the way I use the camera most of the time, with this particular grip. If you add this grip, the nice thing about this grip is that it adds a battery. So if it is actually a battery grip attachment. So you can plug it into DC power. I haven't done that. But if I open this up, I can stick another battery in here. But it is really, as you can see in the picture, it really makes the camera a lot taller and bigger. And I can't see myself putting this on to really use the camera as a carry-around with this battery grip on. But I can see using it when I'm going to do a lot of video recording with the EM5, because then I have two batteries. You can set the camera so that it uses this battery first and the other battery second. Because one of the things that does happen when you're doing video especially is you run out of batteries. Okay, so I'm very happy with my purchase. It is smaller than the EM1, and if I really want to make it stealth and put like the 12 to 32 lens on here, or the 35 to 100 f4 lens, then it makes it even a smaller overall package, and take the grip off, then I really do have a very small package. One of the things that I liked, and this is, you either love it or you hate it, is this flip out LCD. I'll turn the camera on, and this is useful for putting this on a tripod, and then I can see myself in the viewfinder. I don't need to use a Wi-Fi connection with my iPhone as I typically do, as I'm doing today. But it's not as handy as the tilt up screen that's on the EM1 for street photography. Because if I walk around like this, it is a little obvious that I'm doing something with my camera, and it might draw attention to it. Another thing I like about this flip out screen is that you can, I'm going to turn it off, you can turn it around and it protects the LCD when you've got it in your bag, or if you're just going against your leg. So that's a plus to me, a con to some people. As I said, the only really one con for me is that having to take this grip off to replace the battery. That gets to be a little bit of a pain. I can't afford an EM1 Mark II, so this was a nice substitute. I now have two cameras. I've never really realized how nice it is to have, for example, the EM5 with maybe the 35 to 100 on it, and my EM1 with this 12 to 40 on it. So it's very nice to have two camera bodies, and they're essentially the same. They're both very customizable, and ironically, I haven't done a whole lot of customization to this, so I am not really taking advantage of that. But if you're in the market for another camera and you are in my boat where you can't afford that beautiful EM1 Mark II, then consider perhaps a used EM5 Mark II. Thank you for checking in, and please come back as I produce more photography and technology tool episodes.